I was blessed not to have everything I wanted in life. If I do, or if I did, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. See, I lost my father 23 years ago. And life became very interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, I miss my father every day. But when my dad died, I began to find the path to who I am as a person. I began to ask questions about how I can be better as a person. I wanted more because I discovered I could speak and I could talk. And I said I wanted to be a speaker, but I didn't have anyone to hold me by the hand and show me and lead me and guide me. And so what did I have to do? I went to Google and the internet as my friend. I will ask all kinds of questions about the industry I'm going into. I would ask questions about the top players in the industry and how I can really master this industry. Ladies and gentlemen, from a young boy born in Diobu, who was never given a platform, who was hoping that life would be better, but because I decided to ask questions and make findings, it took me to the next slide that you're going to see. From sorting and begging for platforms to becoming a sought-after inspirational speaker. Why? Because I was able to master the industry. Mastering the industry helped me a lot. It helped me because it made me ask questions. And that takes me to the next point I want you to pay attention to. Africa. Why are we where we are? If I ask you, can we be better? I know you would say, yes, we can be better. From the same Diobu to Accra, Ghana, where I received my first international award. Now, the thing about my story is that I'm able to achieve these things because I could master the art of asking questions. Those who ask questions, if you ask questions continuously, you will find answers. And sometimes the answers will help you become better in what you're doing. Through my story, you could see the possibilities of investing in research and development. Because those questions I was asking was actually helping me to research about my industry, to know how best I can make my dream come true. Imagine our marketplace today that serves as major economic activities with centuries of old traditions of how we do business, meeting what? The newer technology of advancement. I'd like you to still imagine if we become innovative in the way we produce the food, our locally produced food, our locally produced fabrics, our locally produced arts. Imagine if we innovate and add ideas to it, what will become of it? Let me take you the journey to the next slide. The big question is, if Africa has these numerous potentials, how can we really? How can we propel ourselves from the challenges of lack of power supply that up until now as a country we cannot attest to 24-hour power supply? Mama Yoda said something yesterday. If we have power in this country, we can do a lot of things as young people. I know that you agree with me, right? But why haven't we asked ourselves questions as individuals? How best can we produce this power instead of waiting and waiting and waiting for a savior? How do we stay innovative and find new ways of doing things or doing old things in a new way? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is in one answer, which is research and development. And I will take you to a case study of a young boy in Port Harcourt, the Akara boy. This young boy decided to do something innovative. Through innovative research, decided to infuse chicken into akara and calls it chicken akara. Today, from all over the world, every time people land in Port Harcourt, they want to taste the chicken akara from the city of Port Harcourt. Now, that is innovation that comes from research. I asked myself, how can it be that Nigeria, with this blessedness of crude oil and other mineral resources, yet we still have to export our crude for it to be refined and brought back. What happens to the other byproducts of our crude? Research and development. I asked myself the question, what happened to Congo, DR Congo, that is blessed with diamond, copper, and gold, yet it is still counted as the poorest, one of the poorest countries in Africa? What happened to Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, who with their combined ability are able to produce more than 50% of cocoa that we have in Africa, yet we still have to wait for Australia and Switzerland to import back chocolates? Let me take you quickly to the top 6 countries in the world that have invested heavily on research and development. United States of America. This is a research according to IMF as of 2023. United States of America invests $597 billion in research and development. And I will call it R&D if you permit me. And that's their GDP, $22 trillion. The next is China, $465 billion on R&D. And of course, their GDP is what? $19.66 trillion. Japan follows next with $191 billion invested on R&D. And of course, you could see that they are hitting $5 trillion. Germany follows next, and of course, South Korea. India. This is where my interest is. Because somehow, in terms of population, we have some similarities. Am I correct? Somehow, in the way that our system is and the way we face life every day, we have some level of similarities. Am I correct? But you see, India has left Africa. India has left Nigeria and is now the 6th in the world because they invest in R&D, which is research and development. From $84 billion they invested, they have a total of $3.21 trillion as their GDP. Now, I became saddened with the fact that when you look at this already, you will see Africa. Could you find anything there? Did you find anything there? Because we couldn't even account for our own investment processes. And no wonder if you look at the entire Africa put together, our GDP is just merely 2.75 trillion. A country called India by GDP is bigger than 54 countries put together. Because we abandon R&D. And I will go to the next one. So, what are the challenges that is causing us not to invest in research and development? And I'll go quickly. I use the acronym of SLAP. If I ask you to slap your neighbor, we'll have to look for who separates fight here. Am I correct? But I will not. Because the slapping is what is keeping our GDP where it is. I'll run quickly. Number 1, shortage of skilled researchers and scientists. Every day we have brain drain. People are leaving for greener pasture. Number 2, lack of funding by the government and the private sector. Some of us are running business today, but we don't have a department called research and development. Ask your neighbor, do you have one? The next one, we are lacking access to data and information. We can't even find information about our country and what we do. We can't find it. And of course, poor policies and regulation. And then infrastructure deficiency. Let me go to my own suggestion of how we can repair this damage. I call it feed. When we feed people, what happens to them? They become healthy. Is that correct? When we feed our children, they become healthy. Is that correct? When we feed our mind, we become healthy. Is that correct? It is time for us to feed Africa. And this is what I'm proposing. Number 1, feed. F stands for funding and investing in R&D as a budget and as an investment. As a country, we must begin to, as a continent, we must intentionally make investing a part of the budget. And as a business and as an organization, we must make sure the R&D departments are working effectively well. Number 2, enhance policy. E for enhance policy and regulations for better practice. We must begin to look at the policies that will encourage us to find research as something important. Because every common person in Africa will find an idea, jump on the market, start the business. But a well-organized organization will find an idea, do a feasibility study, and test the market, what we call MVP. Am I communicating now? Startup understand what I'm saying better. They will test the product. They will see if the market wants it. They will want to know if it's something they can invest in. Ladies and gentlemen, what they did is what we call R&D. That is why you buy your phone in the market and you say, it's just like they knew that I needed this phone. Yes, they did. They did a research on you. You just didn't know. But you and I will go to the market and we want to start our business. It's a great idea. I'm going to start it with invest money. And people don't buy and then we lose. Number 3, establish programs to retain and attract skilled researchers. Number 4, I'm proposing that we develop capacity through increased STEM education. What is STEM? If I ask in this room, I'm pretty sure some people still don't know what STEM is, but it's okay. I didn't know it at some point, but here it is. STEM stands for what? Science, technology, engineering, and what? Let's make it a compulsory system that we use it in our educational sector. And then finally, strengthen data management information system. Ladies and gentlemen, the Africa that we want and we really need, will only thrive when we invest intensively on research and development. I want to end with this quote from a wonderful man. He says, research and development are the heartbeats of innovation and progress. This was by Louis Gaster of IBM, the IBM CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Africans, with the amazing mineral resources we have, we should not be sitting at the back. We should be pulling the horn and be moving forward with our global strength, with our economy. But that can only happen when we invest in research and development. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.